Max Verstappen's radio after Barcelona qualify was not just frustration, it was a warning siren. Because when the driver who built Red Bull's dynasty says the car has no grip, no balance, rear instability, and time vanishing the corners, the team cannot pretend this is one bad session anymore. Barcelona exposes everything. And what it exposed is brutal. The Red Bull is overweight. The setup window is too narrow. The car does not give Max the trust he needs. Ferrari has surged ahead with Lewis Hamilton. Mercedes is pulling clear. McLaren is waiting to punish every mistake. And now the most dangerous part is not the lap time. It is what Verstappen may have realized inside the cockpit. This car might not be one adjustment away. It might be fundamentally wrong. And if Red Bull cannot fix that fast, Barcelona will not be remembered as a bad qualifying. It will be remembered as the moment Max told the world that Red Bull's crisis is real. Subscribe to the channel. The first layer of this story is not the radio message itself. It is why that message hit Red Bull so hard. Because Max Verstappen being angry is not new. Red Bull has heard that voice before. Sharp, impatient, direct, sometimes brutally honest. That is part of the relationship between Max and the team. They know he does not soften the truth when the car feels wrong. But Barcelona was different. This did not sound like a driver asking for a small adjustment. It sounded like a driver recognizing a pattern. And patterns are what scare Formula One teams. A single bad session can be explained. The tires were not ready. The track changed. The balance shifted. The setup missed the window. The traffic was badly timed. There's always a reason, and sometimes the reason is real. But when the same complaints return again and again across different circuits, the explanations start to run out. That is where Red Bull is now. Verstappen has been pointing toward the same weaknesses for months. No grip, no balance, rear instability, time lost in the corners. A car that does not feel predictable enough when the lap demands full commitment. Those are not random frustrations. They are connected symptoms. And Barcelona made the connection impossible to ignore because this circuit does not let a weak car hide. It asks for balance through long corners, stability when the tires are loaded, confidence from the rear, and a car that changes direction without fighting the driver. It is one of those tracks where a good car looks natural and a flawed car looks exposed. That is why the radio mattered so much. If Verstappen says the car has no balance at a strange street circuit, Red Bull can blame the layout. If he says it in unusual conditions, the team can blame temperature. If he says it after one messy run, they can blame timing. But Barcelona is harder to dismiss. Barcelona is a measuring stick, and the measuring stick showed the same problem again. That is why Red Bull should be alarmed, because Max Verstappen does not need a comfortable car to be fast. He has never been that kind of driver. He can handle a car that feels sharp. He can handle a car that rotates quickly. He can handle pressure, aggression, and a rear end that moves, as long as he understands what he's going to do. But there is a difference between a car that is sharp and a car that is unpredictable. A sharp car gives information. An unpredictable car breaks trust. And once trust breaks, the lap time starts disappearing before the mistake even happens. The driver brakes a fraction earlier. He waits a little longer before the throttle. He leaves a little more margin over the curb. He stops attacking the corner like a weapon and starts treating it like a risk. Those tiny moments look invisible from the outside, but inside a Formula One lap, they are everything. That is why Verstappen's radio is so revealing. He is not simply saying the car is slow. He is saying the car is forcing him to manage where he should be attacking. And for Red Bull, that is a massive problem, because their whole era of dominance was built on giving Max a car he could attack with. It did not have to be easy. It did not have to suit everyone. It only had to give him a platform he trusted, a car that could live at the edge and reward the way he drives. Now, the car seems to be taking that away. The reported weight issue makes the picture even worse. The Red Bull has been described as carrying 6 to 7 kilograms above the minimum. To most people, that sounds small. In Formula One, it is a constant punishment. That weight follows the car everywhere, into braking zones, through long corners, across direction changes, over curbs, out of slow exits. It stresses the tires, slows response, and can cost around 0.2 of a second per lap. 0.2 may sound tiny, but at the front of Formula One, 0.2 can change an entire weekend. It can be the difference between attacking for pole and starting behind rivals. It can decide whether a team controls a race or spends Sunday trapped in dirty air. And the weight does not exist alone. That is the key. Extra weight stresses the tires. Stressed tires lose grip. Less grip makes the balance hard to control. Poor balance makes the rear feel nervous. A nervous rear makes Verstappen hesitate, and hesitation costs more time. That is the chain reaction behind the panic. Red Bull is not fighting one problem. It is fighting a chain of problems feeding each other. And Barcelona showed that the chain has not been broken yet. That is why the team cannot simply treat Verstappen's radio like emotional noise. It is feedback from the one person who feels a car at its absolute limit. Engineers can see numbers, but Max feels the consequence of those numbers through every corner. If the car is unstable, he feels it before the data becomes a meeting. If the grip is missing, he feels it before the tire report explains it. If the balance is wrong, he feels at the moment where confidence should be automatic. And in Barcelona, what he felt was serious enough to sound the alarm again. The bigger issue is that Red Bull has already had time to respond. This is not the first weekend of the season. These problems have not just appeared. Earlier in the year, Verstappen had already complained about the car being almost undrivable. He had already talked about no grip and no balance. He had already warned about the rear behaving badly at high speed. So by the time the team reached Barcelona, the question was not whether there was a problem. The question was whether Red Bull had found the cure, and Verstappen's radio suggested the answer was not convincing enough. That is the first true reason for panic. Not that the car is difficult. Difficult cars can be improved. The panic comes from a possibility that the car is difficult in the same way again and again because the weakness is built into the concept. A setup problem can be fixed. A concept problem has to be rebuilt. And that is a much darker thought because Ferrari is not waiting. Mercedes is not waiting. McLaren is not waiting. Every weekend Red Bull spends diagnosing the same symptoms. Its rivals are scoring, improving, and gaining confidence. The old Red Bull could afford to refine. This Red Bull has to rescue. And rescue mode is dangerous because every update carries pressure. Every new part is expected to change the story. Every practice session becomes a test of whether the direction is right. Every radio message becomes a public verdict. That is what makes Verstappen's voice so powerful right now. He is not just driving the car. He is measuring Red Bull's recovery in real time. And if the same words keep coming back, no grip, no balance, unstable rear, then everyone knows the recovery is not happening fast enough. That is why Barcelona was not just another frustrating qualifying. It was a warning that Red Bull's problem may be deeper than lap time. It may be trust. And once a driver like Max Verstappen starts losing trust in the car beneath him, the entire team has a bigger crisis than the timing screen can show. But the second layer is where the problem becomes much more dangerous. Because Verstappen's radio is not only exposing what the car feels like, it is exposing how difficult the fix might be. That is what should frighten Red Bull. A slow car can be improved. A bad setup can be corrected. A tire window can be understood. Even a balance problem can sometimes be adjusted with the right changes overnight. But a car that is heavy, unstable, narrow in its operating window, and difficult over curbs is not offering one clear problem. It is offering a puzzle. And the worst part is that every piece of that puzzle touches another one. If Red Bull tries to calm the rear, it may lose front response. If it protects the tires, it may lose aggression. If it raises the car to handle curbs better, it may lose aerodynamic performance. If it chases more stability, it may make the car slower in the very corners where Verstappen needs it to rotate. That is why this is not a simple repair. It is a balancing act under pressure. And pressure is exactly what Red Bull does not have time to manage calmly. Ferrari has already moved ahead with Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. Mercedes has built a major advantage in the championship picture. McLaren is strong enough to make every mistake expensive. Red Bull is not trying to fix this car in an empty room. It is trying to fix it while the rest of the front of the grid keeps moving. That makes every Verstappen radio message heavier. Because the radio is no longer just feedback. It is a countdown. Every time Max says the same thing, no grip, no balance, unstable rear, the team loses a little more room to claim that progress is just around the corner. And that is the dangerous point Red Bull is approaching. The point where explanations stop sounding like explanations and start sounding like delays. From the outside, it is easy to say the team should just bring upgrades. But Formula One does not work that simply. An upgrade only matters if it changes the right thing. A new part can add performance and simulation, but if it does not change what Verstappen feels in a cockpit, the crisis remains. That is the key difference. Data can say the car improved. Max can still say it does not trust it. And if those two stories split, Red Bull has an even bigger problem. Because the driver is the final test of the car, not the wind tunnel, not the computer model, not the factory target. The driver. He is the one who discovers whether the rear is stable when it matters. He is the one who feels whether the tires are alive or sliding. He is the one who knows whether the car is asking him to attack or forcing him to survive. And right now, Verstappen's radio sounds much closer to survival than attack. That is not Red Bull's identity. Red Bull's identity was built on making the rest of the field react. For years, Verstappen could pressure rivals before the race even started, because everyone knew the Red Bull would be there. Fast on Saturday, ruthless on Sunday, stable in the corners, efficient in race pace, difficult to beat even when it was not perfect. Now, the fear has shifted. Red Bull is the team reacting to Ferrari's rise, reacting to Mercedes' pace, reacting to McLaren's pressure, reacting to its own car, reacting to its own driver's warnings. That is a completely different emotional world, and teams can feel that. The garage feels it when a practice session begins with uncertainty. Engineers feel it when setup changes become more about damage control than performance hunting. Strategists feel it when qualifying position leaves fewer options. Mechanics feel it when every new part carries the pressure of becoming the answer. And Verstappen feels all of it in the cockpit. That is why his words are so sharp. He is not asking Red Bull to make the car comfortable. He is asking them to make it believable. There is a difference. A comfortable car can still be slow. A believable car gives the driver confidence that when he commits, it will respond. Max does not need softness. He needs truth. He needs a rear end that moves in a way he can predict. He needs grip that arrives when he expects it. He needs balance that stays with him across the lap. Without that, every corner becomes a risk calculation. And that is poison for qualifying. Because qualifying is where a driver has to remove doubt. The lap is too short for hesitation. The margins are too small for caution. The tires are at their best for only a narrow window. The driver has to believe immediately.